Welcome to another episode of TAAP. I'm Chad,
I'm Michael.
and today, we're gonna kind of continue the introduction into the firearms world. We've given you some information. You're maybe someone that is comfortable with firearms yourself, but maybe you got a friend or a significant other that you want to introduce to the wonderful world of pew-pews. So we're going to talk about introducing someone to firearms because there's definitely a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it.
There is. And I guess the wrong way would be Chad. This is Bretta. Bretta, this is Chad. They're nice to meet you. Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Isn't it nice? Now, for those of watching...
How do I hold it, like this?
Yeah, just like that. That's
okay.
Perfect.
Yeah, I'm going to look down the barrel, and it's pretty.
You got to smile.
Yeah. Oh, is this where I take the picture?
Yeah,
All right.
You push the button and it takes a picture of you.
Oh, sweet.
Now, we could do this with this, and I would never do this with a different firearm because this is plastic. This is not a real firearm. This is a training gun. We use these a lot of times just for demonstration. As you can see, I'm going to move it up to the camera. You see the trigger there? It's this big black blob. There's actually no trigger there. So, and it's plastic. You can't do anything with this one.
The only way you're going to hurt someone with that is if you hit them with it.
And it's plastic, so I guess it would hurt, but it happens.
Yeah, it's got enough weight to it that you could leave a mark.
So, introducing someone to firearms. You don't say, here's my gun, and you point it at them.
Yeah.
Bad introduction. Don't do that. All right.
So, and that really takes us to our first point. And a couple of things with that take us to our first point. First, teach the person how to safely handle that firearm.
Yes.
Before you even put it in their hands, you do things like, do not put your finger in here until you're ready to shoot. Teach them the finger along the slide.
Yeah.
Teach them where the bad ends are, where it's dangerous.
Danger area.
Yes.
Behind that is safe. Most of the part. The bullets eject out of this, and that'll take your eye out.
Yeah.
Kid.
Even if it doesn't take your eye out, you get one of those caught in your shirt. It burns.
I've had that happen.
Yes, I have too.
Why, when we go to the range, I like to wear a ball cap, just so I don't have hot brass hitting me in the head.
I always wear a hat, but definitely at the range. So, start with getting them comfortable with the firearm. And while you're doing that, you might as well go into the 4 rules of firearm safety, which are going to pop up right here. So, go through these real quick. Always keep firearm pointed in a safe direction. Treat all guns as though they are loaded. Keep your finger off the trigger until you are ready to shoot. And always be sure of your target and what is beyond it.
Yep. If you follow those rules, you should be safe.
Yeah, and other people have said this. I'm just going to repeat it because you can't say it any better than what I've heard it from thousands of other people. These rules are built so that you have to fail at multiple of them for something catastrophic to happen.
Yeah.
You can't just break one of them and something catastrophic happens. You have to break multiple of those rules at the same time. So just keep that in mind.
Fail-safe system.
Yes, it is.
Like those.
So next thing you want to do is create good habits and build on them.
Oh yeah.
So regardless of the type of firearm that you're introducing them to, you want to teach them, like we said, how to handle the firearm. When they get ready to shoot, what type of stance they want to use. Because I've seen some crazy things where someone got handed a shotgun and they put the butt of the shotgun over their shoulder. It's that part that's supposed to go in the meat of your shoulder right there and stop things from moving. Yeah.
Right. Now that's where I like to get the popcorn because I know it's going to be a show.
I just don't want to be the person standing behind them.
No shit.
Because, remember, equal and opposite forces. So, teach them good habits. Build their base. Start with foot placement, how they lean into it, how they hold it. Proper techniques.
Right.
Because if they're hurting themselves just from firing it because they're not holding it right, they're not going to like it for very long.
Yeah. Introducing someone to a firearm, there's a lot of moving parts on a firearm. And you're right. The base is key. Because if you're off balance, it feels weird, and when you shoot it, it's going to jerk just right, and then you're going to have a problem. Now, the other thing I'd have to say, and like I said, our training is this is a Beretta. Sorry, Beretta, I'm not very fond of you guys.
Neither am I. So they do have a nice beaver tail there.
It does have a beaver tail. This is what we call a beaver tail. It's where this round part comes out like this. I like that because it kind of the fat part of your thumb and forefinger that goes just like that. Now, if it doesn't have a beaver tail and you get your hand up here, what happens is this slide starts to slide and it will cut, beat up, and how many times have you seen that happen?
Not very many, because most people that I fire with know how to handle the firearm, and the people that I've taught how to shoot know where to put their hands.
Because you've taught them.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right. I've watched people, I've gone to the range, and I've watched some guy take his wife up there, and she's shooting for the first time, and that thing bites her, she gets hurt, and I will tell you that first impression...
She probably never touched it again.
She doesn't want to deal with it.
And, I'm sure you've probably done this too. I've gone to the range, either the local range or outdoors where I'm shooting, and I will intentionally fire in awkward positions, awkward angles, just to get used to it. And there are a lot of angles that I've done where I've been leaning backwards and off balance, and I thought, if I learned to shoot this way, it's so uncomfortable and cumbersome, I wouldn't have found the love that I have for firearms.
Right. And that's what, if you're going to do different angles and stuff like that, save that for later on. Save that for some advance. When you get a new shooter, I like to use the KISS method. That's what I do.
Keep it simple, stupid.
Yep. Just your stance, your feet placement. You should be at a little bit of an angle, or you should be leaned forward into it. I will tell you the other thing that I've seen a lot is that elbow lock.
Yep.
Don't lock the elbow. Don't do it.
Okay, now I have nothing to cushion that. If I've got a little break in that elbow, now I can take that and I can cushion it a little bit. You got built-in shock absorber there.
Lock your elbow. Let's see. Lock it. So when I do this, what happens is we're putting a lot of pressure on the joint right here. Now, bend your elbow.
Well, hold on. Do it again and watch my head when he does that too, because he's...
Do you see how he's kind of bouncing? And I'm not hitting very hard, but that's going to be standard recoil. Now bend. Do you see how his arms are kind of shaking a little bit there? It's almost it's bouncing a little bit. It's a better feel.
Well, you've got a built-in shock absorber.
Right.
Think of it as if you've ever been walking on a rough trail, your knees are the same thing. When you're walking, your knees and your hips are absorbing that shock.
Yeah, you don't walk stiffly. That's retarded.
If you got corn cob up your ass, maybe.
Well, yeah.
So, create good habits, build their base, and then this is all almost with training firearms, whether it's this, whether you have one that's a rifle, whether you're using your AR, shotgun, whatever it is, and it's completely unloaded. Build their base with that before they even shoot.
Oh, yeah.
The other thing that you can do with that is, because how many times have you seen this? Someone new to shooting, and they're at the range, and they go, pop, ah!
Yep.
And now that live firearm is pointing all over at everyone. And I have seen RSOs grab people.
Here's my favorite. I'm going to tell you. Boom, boom, boom. Hey, did you see that?
Mm-hmm.
You got to teach them not to do that. That's part of training. Do you want to know how I learned how to use a shotgun?
How?
Walking around my house with a broomstick. I'm not joking. I was, I think I must have been like 10 or 11. And I said, I want to go shooting. And he goes, you want to go duck hunting with me? I go, yeah, sure. He goes, okay, clear the house with this. I had to walk around with a pretend a broom was a shotgun, and I had to put the broom piece against my shoulder.
Nothing wrong with that. It gets you used to how to handle it and where to point it.
And you know why? Because you know how many times I hit that broomstick onto a wall or something? I'm like, boom, boom. He goes, yeah. If I would have given you my gun, you're scratching up my walls.
Yeah. If you're lucky. You might be putting holes in them.
Right.
So, to me, the safety is all, and the building the base, everything we've covered so far is really paramount. But to me, this is just as important. Is what do they want to shoot? What are they interested in shooting? Because if you're a big shotgun person, you like to go out and shoot skeet, and you like the bird hunting. Shotgun is your go-to thing to play with, but they want to learn how to use a handgun. Well, you're not going to do them any service by saying, okay, well, let's go shoot some skeet and we'll practice with my shotgun. And the vice versa. I mean, what if you're a big pistol person and they're like, I would really like a shotgun, because I think that for what I want to use for fun and for home defense, I think a shotgun's going to be the tool for me.
Yeah.
So,
You got to understand that when you're introducing it, you have to make them. I will tell you, guys. Here's a good example. You're gonna have to, if you want to go on a date with a woman, you're gonna have to go see some stupid movie you don't want to see that they want to see. If you take them to a movie, a war movie or something that they don't want to see, chances of a second date slim to none.
yeah. Yeah.
Do you want a second date?
Yeah. If they're a romantic comedy girl and you try and take them to Saving Private Ryan or something along those lines, it's not going to end well.
Right. Just know your audience, I guess, when you're doing that, and then you know what, if you want them, you know what, they might not, they may like shotguns down the road, but ease them into it.
Right.
Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah. Well, it's just as simple as finding out what they're interested. Because if they're interested in part of it, and they obviously are, if they're coming to you and saying, "Hey, can you teach me about firearms and how to shoot?"
Yep.
There's obviously a kernel of interest there. You want to find out what that kernel is and water that first, and then
Correct.
expand their horizons.
Oh, that's good. I like that.
Yeah.
Water that
Every now and
seed.
then, I come up with a good one.
Yeah, I like that one. Water that seed.
So now we've gotten past the building the base and the basics, the rules of firearm safety, finding out what they're interested in.
Okay.
Now you're going to go to the range, and you're going to let them put that first round down range.
Oh, okay.
So here, this has always been my rule. I'm going to guess you're probably the same.
Oh, we'll find out.
Yeah, we will. My rule has always been start small.
Yeah, that's actually been my rule too.
And when I say start small, I mean if they're interested in shotguns, you don't want to put a 12 gauge in their arms and say, "Okay, first time you're going to shoot something, here you go."
Yeah.
What I have always done, and I've had friends and family that have been interested in pistols, rifles, shotguns, pretty much you name it, I've introduced people to it. If they're interested in shotguns, I start with the .22 rifle.
Yeah, because a 22 rifle has no kick. Mm-hmm. It's very minimal. I can't really feel a kick in a 22.
No.
Now, if I took my wife, she may differ. Don't get me wrong.
I don't even think Rebecca would really feel a kick in the .22
I don't
rifle.
think so either.
But and I'm sure most of you have shot a .22 rifle. There's no kick to it. But the reason I do that is it gets them used to holding an actual firearm.
Yep.
And
it's quieter. Mm-hmm. Less recoil.
Yep.
It's a little more pleasant to shoot.
Right. Now, after they do that for a little bit, then I might go to either a 410 or a 20 gauge just to get into that shotgun family that they're interested in.
Yeah. And a 410 is really nothing.
No.
Especially in a full shotgun.
Yeah. I just don't have a 410 currently, so
I do. I have a single load 410.
a single shot breech loader.
Breech loader.
All right, nice.
Yep.
So start small. You know, if they're interested in pistols, I'm not going any bigger than a full size 9mm, and I'm not going to go to a compact 9mm.
Yeah.
I'm going to either a 22 or a full size 9mm, because once you start shrinking this down, like if you've seen the video on the Canic, once you start shrinking that down, it gets snappier.
Right.
Which your first impression, that may be a little bit too much. This, it'll have a little snap to it, but not nearly as much as something that is going to be either larger in caliber or smaller in size.
Yeah.
And again, you want that first impression to be enjoyable, so they want to come back for more.
So what you kind of want to do is when you don't want to just say, "Here, shoot this." There's a lot of, my hand size may be different than her hand size. Mm-hmm. And if it doesn't fit her hand correct, she's not going to like it. It could be big, it's too big or too small. Let's go with Goldilocks. Be just right.
Right. And, you know, sometimes, just to build on that, just because of what you may or may not have, let's just say you have a full-size Beretta 9mm, this may be a little bit too big for her hands.
Right.
But at the same time, you can teach her hand placement so that she can get a good grip on that, so that when she goes to fire, she's got a hold of it, and it's as comfortable as it can be.
Right.
Other thing you can do is, if you're going to the range, just about every range I've been to, they will rent firearms to you. So this is a little bit too big. Okay, well, I bet they have a 9mm you can rent that's a little bit smaller than that.
Right.
And
use that. Use that and go through. Not only does that get her to pick what she wants, I guess it's giving her a choice too.
It is.
I guess people are more apt to do something if they have a little bit of a choice in there. So if you're taking someone new to a range, rent a firearm. Just say, hey, pick which one you want to shoot. They'll pull it out. They'll let you feel it. They'll let you, oh yeah, I like that one. Okay, let's go try and shoot that. And then you have to let them know, hey, this is a little smaller, so it's going to be a little snappier on the end, and then you walk through what to expect.
Right.
If you set those expectations up front, they know what's going to happen.
And the other thing is, if you're not quite sure, because maybe your hands are much larger than the other person's, or maybe you like that snap. Maybe you're one of those people that likes the kick of a big gun.
Right.
Great thing about if you go to the range, those people know their firearms. If you tell them, look, I'm introducing Michael to firearms. He's never shot before. If he has, it's been many, many years.
Right.
What would be good for him? And they'll help you find something. And again, this is where your home range, finding a good home range comes in handy.
Right.
Just a plug out to the range that we use a lot, Inner 10.
Oh, yeah.
I've got a membership there. Great thing about the membership with them, if you are in the local area here, is you have a membership with them, you get free firearm rentals.
Right, right.
So all you have to do is buy their ammunition, which that's going to be at any place that you go. I've never been to a range that rents firearms and doesn't tell you have to buy our ammunition.
Make sure you're going to be with the girl for a while before you start doing that, though, because if she's, find out her personality, because if she's a psycho, you might not want to teach her how to shoot. I'm just saying.
You may have just taught your murderer how to kill you.
You got a fatal attraction problem,
Yeah.
so let's not do anything like that.
So no, and
Guys too, if
Yeah.
you're a girl shooter and you don't teach your guy how to shoot, because especially if he's a crazy guy too.
Yeah.
So okay.
And that kind of goes back to what we talked about before. Don't give guns to crazies.
Yeah, yeah. Didn't we cover that in the show? I mean,
We did.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, that kind of came into our 3 rules. I think.
I thought so. Our 3 questions.
Our
that
3
we
questions.
asked, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Are you? I guess if it's a dating, it might be, do you like rabbit? Will you break into my house? I don't know. That's crazy. So what else you got here?
Really, that's the main introduction that I wanted to get out to people when they are doing this. The teach them the rules of safety, teach them proper stance and firearm control, and then start small.
Yeah. See, if you set this up right, you're going to have a fun time. They're going to have a fun time. And then you're going to continue to do that. That's where we say we want people to go out. We want people to practice. We want people to go through there. And people are not willing to practice if they are having a bad experience with it.
No.
I think that's the problem.
It is. And it's I know people have had bad experience with firearms, and I've tried to get them back into it.
Yeah.
And because of that first experience, same thing, a little bit different topic, but same thing with motorcycles. We both ride, and
we just talked about that
yes,
too.
we did. And I've got a friend that I've been trying to get her to get on the back of my bike, and she won't because
one dumbass
30, 40 years ago, well, not 40, 30 years ago or so, she was on the back of a bike of one dumbass, and it scared the piss out of her. So she trusts me, but she won't get on the back of a bike.
Yeah, and I'll tell you this: if you are learning firearms and you're wanting to get back into it, but you are hesitant because of a bad experience, I get it. Don't get me wrong. I get the bad experience, but sometimes you do have to get back up on that horse.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you had one bad experience doesn't mean that the whole experience should be bad. Maybe you had the wrong person. I've been in school. I've had that person. Now, I will tell you, because since we're on this subject, I had recently bought a new firearm.
Mm-hmm.
I was just dating Rebecca at the time. And so I was going to go up to the range and shoot. She says, oh, I'd like to go. So we set up a range date.
Nice.
It was one of the first dates. And so
that's how you knew she was a good one. One of the first dates was a range date.
Right. So I said, okay, we'll do this. And then I remember, I'm like, oh crap, I just got my 1911.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm going to the range. I'm going to shoot my 1911. And I'm like, yeah, that's a 45. So if I'm bringing her, I grabbed a couple 22s, a couple 9mm, and the 45. And then when I'm there at the range, I laid them out. 22, 9mm, 45. She went and started shooting. I'm like, yeah, you could shoot. I kind of went over everything we want to today. I will tell you, there's a lot, so sometimes you space it out. But you tell her that, and you say, "This is what we're going to do." She shot the 22. She's like, "Oh yeah, I like that. That's pretty nice." She moved up to 9 millimeter. She's like, "Oh yeah, I don't like." She didn't like the plastic feel for it, and then she looked at me and she said, "Can I shoot the 45?" And I said, "Well, hold on a minute. I don't. If you want to shoot that, you can, but a lot of people don't like to shoot those. That has a lot of kick." I said, "So it's up to you. I would cautious against it, but if you want to do it and you wanted," she goes, "No, I'll do it." So she picked that thing up and I think she shot like 2 or 3 rounds, and she turned back and smiled. And I said, "I've got to start."
You said, "You're a keeper."
Yeah, you're definitely a keeper. That's for goddamn sure. And I'm like, "Okay, you're going to be, yeah, this is done."
Yep.
And I had to buy a second one because that's the gun she likes to shoot.
So, gonna wrap up here, but two more things that I wanna say, and one of them, your story kind of brought this up, and this is more for when you are scaling that up and getting into those larger calibers, because 9 millimeter, you're not really gonna have to worry about it unless that person really has a weak grip and weak wrists.
Right.
But once you start getting into larger calibers, I even did this with my ex-wife. We went to the range once just because she wanted to see if she'd like it, and she didn't, which that's fine, and she's my ex now, so I don't have to worry about it.
So she's an expert.
Yeah. Yes, she is. So I did this with her because at the time, my standard weapon I carried around was a 40 caliber, which is snappier than a 9. But I started her off with a 22. She wanted to fire mine. I put 1 round in the chamber. Empty mag, 1 round in the chamber. Because we've all seen these videos where someone gets a 500 Smith & Wesson normally in their hands,
Yep.
and they pull the trigger and it does this, and if they double tap on that from it pulling back, they could potentially canoe their heads.
So
when
I'm going to explain why that happens. So just so we're there, you brought it up, so I'm going to explain it. So what happens is you're gripping the firearm and your finger's on the trigger, right? So when you pull it, the initial pull and you let go. But when you let go, if you're not used to the recoil, what happens is that's going to keep coming back. So what happens is if this clicks like this, a lot of times your finger's still in that trigger form like that, right? And then what's going to happen is as it's coming through, you tense up, you squeeze. And when you squeeze, when it's like here, the flash side's to you. Now, most of the videos I've seen, it just barely cleared their head. In fact, one I saw that was so close that you could see the scrape mark it did. If that ever happens, if you ever take someone to the range and that happens, the chances of them wanting to go back to the range or shoot or do anything with one of these is going to be next to nothing. Yeah. They're not going to do it.
And then the other thing I want to say is, if you're that person that's watching this because you're interested in getting into firearms and you don't have anyone around to show you, you can take these things that we've talked about and scale them to yourself.
Right.
You know, you can set up a camera and record yourself with a practice gun and watch yourself so you can see how you're standing. Get a full-length mirror and stand using that to mock yourself up into. When you go to the range, rent a 22 to start out with and build it up. Because the other thing you don't want to do is go out and spend a few $100s on a nice firearm.
Yeah.
Fire it once and decide you don't like it.
Right. This is where the range is like Interten's great. Mm-hmm. You can go go rent a gun and say, "Hey, I've never gone and shot before." They'll walk you through a safety class. They have classes there. If you're in the Omaha area and you're like, "Hey, I like you guys, but I've never had a firearm," you can always email us and you can reach out to us. We're always teaching people how to fire.
Leave it in the comments. We'd be more than happy to help you. I've got a couple people that I have to take out to the range in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah,
so
the list is growing. So if you want on that list, and you're not going to boil my rabbit, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
You know.
So I think wrap it up there.
Yeah, that's good.
All right. Well, again, thanks for watching. What we're on? We're on YouTube and Rumble right now.
YouTube, Rumble, and
Facebook, of course.
Facebook, of course. Yeah. So just make sure you're always shooting straight and staying safe.
All right. Have a good one, everyone. We'll see you next time. And hey, guess we don't have to clean anything to this
Yeah,
time.
I like using plastic.
Yeah.
No cleaning.
I don't know where your hands have been.
Oh. Maybe I should clean it. All right. So that's
Mikey,
good.
the only thing you did is you didn't wait to the queue for the queue to pop up the 4 rooms as a fire and safety. You were quick on it. I almost cut us, except for we were too far in and we wouldn't be able to recreate the first part.
Yep, and that's the problem. And then I also noticed that when a few times, did you see that bottom line redlining a few times?
A couple of times.
Yep. Did you find out who was talking when it was redlining, and did you adjust anything? Did you do anything about it to try to change it?
No.
Why? You didn't go, okay, that's Chad talking and he's getting ready to redline. Let me turn his gain down. You didn't bother to do anything.
No.
So once it's set, it's just that's what it is.
Yeah, because it looked like you were zoning out. Do you understand that your role here isn't just passive? Your role isn't just, listen, I can grab that fucking mic from here, I can put it on the desk, and I can fucking do what you're doing. The reason you're sitting in that chair is if you start to see something or we're starting to get loud or something like that, to make adjustments on the fly. Did you not understand that part?
Well, no,
Because no, you just want to be a dumbass. That's what it is. Stop recording, because now you're just getting us chewing your ass.